Now Ayrshire Radio Podcast presents Ayrshire Insights with Elliot Boyce.
So welcome back to Ayrshire Insights with me, Elliot Boyce. And as promised, we have got a brilliant guest on today's show. And since we have so much to talk about, we've had to split this local legend over 2 weeks. I'm delighted to welcome back Billy Bowie.
Yeah, hi there.
Now, this week we're going to talk beyond the football and find out what it's like to run a top-flight football club and the highs and lows at Kilmarnock. We're going to find out about the early days in Billy Bowie's journey with the Kilmarnock Football Club.
You're listening to Ayrshire Insights with Elliot Boyce.
Now Ayrshire Radio.
I'm chatting with Billy Bowie, current director of Kilmarnock Football Club, and we are hearing how his journey in business moved into football. So, Billy, silly question, what team did you grow up supporting?
Kilmarnock, of course.
Of course. Now, what's some of your favourite Killie memories growing up?
Well, when I was younger, it was quite a bizarre thing. I was always working at Saturday jobs, but what I remember is where I grew up in Stewarton, the streets were quiet on a Saturday afternoon because people were away to the football.
Back in the good old days when the stadiums were always busy. Now, obviously from being in business, what drove you to start the conversation with Kilmarnock?
Well, I'd sponsored them since 1994, and through time, they had lost their way a wee bit with the community. Even with myself, I was spending money and nobody even came to say thank you. And then when I heard about, the club was having some difficulties, so I went to offer my services.
And so the initial conversation then about starting the kind of investment, obviously you had invested since 1994, but from moving from sponsorship to actually becoming a director of the club, what was the initial conversations with the club like?
It was funny because Anne Clark had came to see me about the next year's sponsorship, and I'd quizzed her. I mean, really, I was going to knock the sponsorship down, but when I thought about it, no, this is not right. What's happening at Kilmarnock? And she went into detail, and I'd said, well, I've had a good year in the business and I'd like to try and help out if I can. So with doing that, the club chairman was round at my depot at a shot, about half an hour later.
And there you go, from being a sponsor at Kilmarnock to then moving on to becoming a director of the club. Now, I'm sure being a director of a football club, it's something that a lot of people maybe have an idea on, but nobody really knows what goes on behind there. When you first joined as the director, what opened your eyes to the operations of a club beyond the football? When you first joined, what was the biggest surprise that you had?
It was funny, it was very regimental. I remember getting introduced to the staff at the club by the chairman, and everybody addressed him chairman, and I thought, that's not right, They introduce people with their names, not chairman. And
is that why when you walked through the door and I said, chairman, how you doing, you weren't up for it? Just Billy, isn't it?
No, that's right. I took a wee dislike to you that day.
So there you go. So the regimented approach of people calling you chairman, that just wasn't for you. No. Now, Billy, listen, there's so much to talk about, and I think this is such an interesting part because a lot of people and a lot of supporters of Kilmarnock and other clubs across Scotland and further afield will really understand the mindset behind what happens. So next we're going to talk about the highs and lows of running a top flight football club here in Scotland.
Now streaming
Ayrshire Insights, hosted by Elliot Boyce.
This is Now Ayrshire Radio.
We're still with Billy Bowie, the current director of Kilmarnock Football Club. Now, we've heard about the initial conversations and what drove you to invest, but now it's time to talk about the business beyond the football. Now, as a successful business owner with other ventures, which we covered in last week's show, what would you say the biggest difference about running a business and a football club is?
Well, at a football club, you'll never make money. It's more or less looking at what the potential is, your income, and then how you spend it and divide it, down through the ranks, all your employees, and, just trying to get it that you get to a break-even situation.
So throughout your time at Kilmarnock, you've had to make some really difficult decisions. What would you say the kind of most difficult decision you've had to make in running Kilmarnock Football Club?
It's normally when things aren't going right in the pitch and you've got a manager, he's doing his best, and they're all good guys, and you're not getting the results, and you've got to make the decision to let the manager go.
Which I think kind of leads nicely on. So you were appointed to Kilmarnock on the 14th of March 2014. You've worked with 9 managers and only last week announced your 10th manager with former Motherwell head coach Stuart Kettlewell. Now, what do you look for in a manager of your club?
It's a different situation as well when you're interviewing a manager. A manager will come with a presentation for you, and this presentation could take anything from 15 minutes to an hour. And what you're looking for is all the homework he's done into, the football club, the players, and whatever. And really just, you're looking for a manager that understands the club.
Which, to be honest, it's very interesting because a lot of supporters out there and people who love being involved with football don't know what goes on in there. So from the presentation, how does that then move on from there? So the conversations from that to you see all the media speculation which you can't hide no matter where you go and try and do your interviews. It tends to become a whirlwind conversation in the media. How do you then move from that presentation to then appointing, for example, Stuart Kettlewell just in the last couple of weeks?
Well, what you do is you whittle it down to 6 people. That last time there we had 30 people applied for the job. So, you look at their credentials, whittle it down to the 6 best that you feel, and you just, apportion a day for them and interview them. It can be an early morning start and a late night finish, but you go through it all and more or less hear what they've got to say and, give them some questions as well.
And that kind of takes you into, you've got your manager on board. In terms of the kind of day-to-day operations of the club, how much involvement does the board have with the kind of day-to-day football? Because I think we all know that every club's supporters have opinions, but fundamentally it's the board that make the final call.
It is, but we've got good staff at Kilmarnock, and it's a very limited staff as well, and it's all about communication. I'm a very, an open boss with people, so you leave people to get on with their jobs and they'll report anything back to you that they need to report. If the manager wants to have a meeting with you, I'll go in, have a coffee with them, sit down, and we just really discuss things as they happen. I don't like things dragging on, been very proactive in everything we do. So,
but in terms of how you manage business with your other ventures, do you feel that you as a person, regardless of what situation in, is the same type of person? So whether you're dealing with Stuart Kettlewell at Kilmarnock or whether you're dealing with one of your drivers at the Tankers, is that just you as a person? You're willing to have that conversation and keep things moving?
That's it. I mean, normally I go to the gym in the morning from 7 till 8, and then on my road round to the Tankers, I'll look by the football club, see how everybody's doing, any questions to ask, do what I've got to do, then I leave. And I'm normally going about the football club with my gym gear on. I don't go and get changed, they find me the way I am. Yeah,
go to have a kick about out the back, see how your skills are compared to some of your players.
No, definitely not do that unless they want to go looking for a ball.
So in terms of business within football, what lessons have you learned through your journey with Kilmarnock Football Club that if you were starting it all over again you would tell yourself?
It's a tough one at times, because there's times there things go wrong and you end up with, you put a bit of money to it to try and buy yourself out of the problem. So I'm trying not to do that now. But look, we've got a grasp of what's a good budget now, what's a good team, a squad size, whatever. So we're really just trying to base it on that. But at the same time, what I'm trying to do with Kilmarnock is I still want to grow it. I've got a target in my head. Since I've been there, I've doubled everything. We have, myself and fellow directors. Back in 2014, we only roughly 2,500 season ticket holders. Now we're exceeding 5,000. What I'd like to do is try within the next couple of years, try and get that up to, 7,500. So it's just really, I want to build it more, and I'm building a new training centre, which we're paying ourselves, so it's no financial implications upon the football club. But through that, I want to see more young boys getting the opportunity to play football.
No, and listen, it's an amazing achievement in what you've achieved so far with the club. Now, probably what happens in terms of bringing supporters in is all about performance, and I mean, there's certainly been highs and lows that we've witnessed at Kilmarnock over the years. For example, throughout your time with the club, there's been many, from the Steve Clarke era and finishing third in the Premiership in 2019 to a short-lived Europa League journey in 2019-2020 season, relegation in 2021, and that jubilant victory against Arbroath at Rugby Park in 2022 with promotion back to the Premiership. Talk me through that crazy 4-year period.
Yeah, I mean, I'll go back. The interviewing with Steve Clarke, that was good. It's like Steve Clarke can interview us. But he made the decision to come with us, and it was fantastic because the results weren't the best then. And he did turn the club round about. Good few years out of him, then he got the Scotland job, and that kind of caught us quite quick. But other managers came in at the time, but at that time we found out a lot of English managers, and they never really, we felt, didn't have a grasp of what Scottish football was like. But we took the gamble with Angelo Alessio, which he meant well, but the language barrier, he's a great coach, whatever, but the language barrier just wasn't working. A couple of things, so we'd end up letting him go. After that, the performances weren't good. Then COVID struck with Alec Dyer at the time. Alec was a great manager, great nature, and I always remember Alec saying to me, Billy, it's going to be a tough season, but these boys will not get you relegated. But we just couldn't see it getting any better, and I had to say to Alec, sorry, you've done us great, but we need to let you go. And we brought on Tommy Wright. Tommy, great guy as well, but there's just sometimes it doesn't matter what you do. You just never get your way out of it. It's like a boat with a hole in it. You're just bucketing all the time, and at the end of it, you've not got any further. So, but relegation was tough. But at the end of the day, I've got to thank Kilmarnock supporters, because believe it or not, we sold an extra 500 season tickets when we get relegated. Kilmarnock thing again, when you're doing good, you don't get much praise, but when you need help, they come round, they rally round, and it was really good. And the relegation was tough, but then again, we were playing football and we're winning most of our games, with great crowds. The Arbroath game, we had 9,000 of our own fans there that night, won it, memorable. And then, after that with Derek, we've had a great 3.5 years.
Unbelievable. And to be honest, it was one of those ones where there hadn't been a trophy at Rugby Park in a number of years, and whilst the devastation of relegation in 2021, that bringing back the life that it brought back into the club, getting the promotion 1 year down and coming back up, there's memories that will last a lifetime for that Arbroath game. And as much as the devastation of the going down in 2021, it's certainly the coming back there was unbelievable. Yeah,
we division, and it's okay looking back on it, but I had a feeling we'll do that, we'll go with the same budget, we'll be down for a year. Don't get me wrong, it was tough, there was times there, but I actually feel that's a great achievement for ourselves, running a club to get relegated and be back up in that 1 year.
That fantastic, and it was a massive achievement for Kilmarnock. Now, at the start of this season, Killie performed very well in Europe, and from fixtures at the start of Derek McInnes's era in the Championship that we just spoke about, to then equalising with FC Copenhagen at Rugby Park in a 1-1 draw. Also at Cercle Bruges, I mean, there was videos circulating of you guys, you and the board, and going round about and with the mayor. Just talk me through that. That was unbelievable for Kilmarnock.
Yeah, Bruges was unsurreal. I think half of Kilmarnock must have been in that square at Bruges. But yeah, I spent the afternoon with the fans, because people do know I like a wee drink myself. So good times, make the most of it, mingle with the fans. So yeah, we went with a tour of the town hall at night with the mayor and the Cercle Bruges directors. And so we'd done the tour, and then we're going to a local restaurant for a meal afterwards, and we actually walked through this square with the Killie supporters, and they all started chanting, Billy Bowie, Billy Bowie. It's only one Billy Bowie. And the Cercle Bruges director saying, how come your fans like you? I says, well, we're here, aren't we? We've given them a good holiday.
There we go. And listen, I mean, that must have been, from a personal perspective, and going through the challenging times, from getting involved when Kilmarnock had lost their way, to then hearing your name resonating around Cercle Bruges and the way the fans had felt. How was that a proud moment for you? It must have been something special.
Yeah, very proud, and it makes it worthwhile. just the fans appreciating you. At times, there are times when I'm maybe not so popular, but no, it's been great. And, I've got to meet a lot of the fans as well, and some of them have become good friends.
Throughout the journey, there certainly has been the highs and lows, but listen, you've got to take those wins, and I think that was something that you should be really proud of, and it's amazing to see that. And a massive thanks to obviously the Kilmarnock support for joining you in that journey and certainly turning up in your numbers.
Yeah, no, it's great. Fans turned out and supported us really well.
So Billy, it's that time again, your favourite part of the segment. We're going to be picking the music. So I'm going to say that most people listening to this, if they were to take a stab in the dark and go, what song's Billy Bowie going to pick as a memorable song throughout his time at Kilmarnock, what would it be?
Got to be Paper Roses.
Paper Roses, and I have to say, I've had some amount of stick sometimes for playing that at Rugby Park at the end of some of the fixtures, Billy, but listen, it's a Kilmarnock favourite, and we're going to get it on today's show. And coming up next, we're going to find out what Billy has bought in this week's Tenner Challenge, plus finding out about the amazing things that Kilmarnock Football Club do in the community.
This is Elliot Boyce,
and this is Ayrshire Insights.
Now, it's time to talk about football and community, but before we do that, it's time for the weekly challenge. So we're looking for listeners to get in touch and let me know their weekly bargain and what they've managed to pick up for a tenner this week. So the question with you, Billy, what's your bargain of the week that you've managed to get for a tenner?
Well, I've not parted with a tenner yet, but my son is the same size. He's made a nice pair of trainers that I fancied, so I actually got them off my son.
You got them up, so you got a freebie of the week?
Got a freebie, but maybe after this I'll maybe need to give him a tenner.
You need to stick a tenner in there. So a brand new pair of trainers from your boy, he doesn't like it. And listen, I look forward to seeing them walking about Rugby Park soon. Now, we've heard what Billy managed to get. Well, for a tenner, he's going to have to put my pocket money in for a tenner. So Billy, back to you. We want to hear about your links the Kilmarnock Football Club have with the community and the importance of that link. So what does Kilmarnock FC do for the community?
More or less everything, from kids, getting them some good meals in the summer holidays with a summer camp for kids, right through to the elderly with football memories. We actually have, groups going out walks, we tackle loneliness now with the football club through the football memories and going walks with Raymond Montgomery around about Kilmarnock. So just more or less anything to get people talking.
So the Killie community is what supports that as the charity arm of the football club. How important do you think it is to give back to the community, and kind of what success stories have you gained from that through Killie community?
Really, we've actually got some people into employment through Killie community as well. We've seen families, just having a smile on their face, been fed. And we've also done when Scotland, the football, we had nights where they could come along and watch the game in our community hub, and we gave them some free drinks and whatever. So just really, just giving kids a good time.
It's that local feeling and the things that you're doing for the community that I think is something that you've personally kind of pride in yourself in doing, whether it's through your business ventures, the Kilmarnock Football Club, or just indeed you in general. Now, but this is one that if there's other businesses listening to the show today, what would you say to them to encourage them to give back to the community? I mean, it doesn't have to be in a financial sense. There's things that they can do to run it. What would you say to businesses that might not do something yet but aspire to do something for the community?
Yeah, well, that's what I feel with Kilmarnock. I've brought the business community in about Kilmarnock, and what I feel is if they put something into the club, I like them to feel they get something back. And I'm trying to prophesise that a bit more with them, and I say to all our supporters, if you need a service and whatever, try and look at our sponsors, because I'm sure most business people I know, they're all good people and they're all willing to give back. So if they find some, they're getting a bit of reward for what they're doing, albeit they're not doing it for reward, they'll actually be more generous as time goes on.
Great way of thinking, a great way of working, and hopefully the people that do appreciate what the sponsors can do, because with every business, including even here at Now Ayrshire Radio, none of this would be possible without sponsorships like the things that you're doing yourself and all the other sponsors. So it really is it's how the business can continue, especially in football and indeed here in Now Ayrshire Radio.
Yeah, no, as I say, I'm honoured to be helping and being part of this as well.
And we really appreciate it, and it's great to hear about the positive things that not only Kilmarnock are doing, but what you're personally doing for the Ayrshire community. Now, Billy, we're going to finish with a fun round similar to last week. We're going to get the 5 fast ones, and we're just going to do that right after this.
Now Ayrshire Radio Podcast presents Ayrshire Insights with Elliot Boyce.
Now Ayrshire.
If you've just tuned in, I'm with Billy Bowie from Kilmarnock Football Club, and it's now time for the 5 fast ones. So Billy, similar to last week, I don't want you to think about it, just shout out the first answer that comes into your head. Are you ready to play 5 fast ones?
Yes.
Right, let's go. Who's the best manager you've worked with?
It's Stevie Clark.
Kilmarnock pie, macaroni pie, or a jumbo hot dog?
Kilmarnock pie.
What's your first drink in the bar in the boardroom?
Jack Daniels.
Ayr United, in or out of the Premiership?
In Premiership.
And who's in your starting 11? Is it Rory McKenzie or Ray Montgomery?
Rory
McKenzie. There we go. So Ray, sorry if you're listening, Billy, he's decided Rory's the man for it. And in fact, Billy, I think Rory's got his testimonial at Rugby Park. Is it the 4th of July?
That's right, yes.
So, and that's going to be Kilmarnock versus Ayr United. The Battle of Ayrshire is back at Rugby Park.
Absolutely, yeah.
Brilliant. So no matter who's listening, if you're a Kilmarnock fan or an Ayr fan, make sure you come along the 4th of July to Rugby Park for Rory McKenzie's testimonial. Now, Billy, a massive thanks for playing 5 fast ones. We're going to be asking our guests every week to get involved with that. So we're now in the final stretch with you, Billy. So a big question I'm sure that the listeners will be interested in. Far and wide, I think every Premiership manager, every person that's ever came to Rugby Park and not got a result that they've wanted have mentioned the pitch. So I know you've got a huge project going on with the Billy Bowie training facilities. What's the plan with the training facilities? Tell us a little bit about it, and of course, what's happening with the pitch at Rugby Park?
Yeah, well, our training facility actually started 1st of May, so it's going to have 2 training pitches in it, a 250-seater stadium with changing rooms below it. It's going to have a 9-a-side football pitch as well, and it's really going to be for the community as well. The 9-a-side's really for community to come in. The first team of their own training pitch, and then the women's football, they'll have the stand, and that'll be the women's football's home ground.
Fantastic. So you're bringing it all together. And how big's that going to be for the Kilmarnock Academy, and what the future of a Kilmarnock player may be coming through your youth setup?
Well, they're going to have the best of facilities. Our community, well, our youth academy is a great youth academy, but I think that's spread out a wee bit too much. I want to bring it all under the one roof, where all the coaches are there and they can see the players all progressing.
Brilliant. So the Billy Bowie training facility, where's it come from? From the business side of it, is it a personal investment from you? How's that side working?
Yeah, it's a personal investment, but it's what the club needs. Kilmarnock, we've always been proud of our young players coming through, and I feel we need more of that. And I want to see the young players coming through and staying with us a good bit longer as well. And then if they want to move on with their career,
you've grown it, and it's homegrown in Kilmarnock.
Yeah.
Now, we've mentioned the training facility, but the pitch at Rugby Park, so there was obviously some votes going on over the time where the Premiership is moving to grass. Yeah. What was the reason for Kilmarnock? Because a lot of people have always told me that in the past that Kilmarnock had a great grass pitch and then it went to AstroTurf. What was the reasons and then the benefits to moving to AstroTurf?
Well, going back 11 years ago, we more or less had tumbleweeds blowing about Rugby Park. The only time it was busy was if there was a game on, and players were training up in Glasgow. There was no connection at all with the players with Kilmarnock at all. So we're changing the grass to Astro meant the players were training there. Youth Academy was training as well. So we really brought a lot back to Kilmarnock Football Club, a lot of activity where players were coming in and training during the day and coming in about using the hotel, we turned it into actually like a buzzing place.
And brought players, brought a bit of buzz back to Kilmarnock. Now with the Billy Bowie training facility, timing is probably working well, that you're still going to have those players and everything happening in Kilmarnock. Your youth players getting to see the first team players, which must be massive for them when they're watching their heroes at the weekend playing, and then knowing that they're in the same training campus as them. Whilst it's not going to be at Rugby Park fully, it's going to be there. But you said as well, behind the Moffat stand at Rugby Park, the 9-a-side's going in. What's your plans for that? Is that to keep the buzz around Rugby Park?
That's what that's to do, exactly. Community use again, and the youth training there. Just really, we've got to keep Rugby Park football coming about the club.
Keeping Rugby Park alive. Now, on a personal note with yourself, what's one thing that you would say that you hope for Ayrshire future?
For Ayrshire, just for it to keep going, and just expanding, and just really for a good buzz to be about Ayrshire.
Brilliant, Billy, and that's something that I think with the things that we are doing here at Now Ayrshire Radio as well, there's a number of people in Ayrshire that's here for Ayrshire and wants to grow Ayrshire. So with all the help that you're giving and everybody else around here at the station, the sponsors and people all aboard, it's amazing to see what we can bring back to Ayrshire. Now, before we finish up today, do you have a final shout out to anyone?
Yeah, I've got to be my wife Mandy, my two sons William and Ewan, and then everybody that's employed with me. As I say, it's all about teamwork. So anybody that's got a connection with Billy Bowie, it's helped me come on the journey that I've been in.
Billy, honestly, a massive thank you for not only sponsoring this show, but for kickstarting the first two Ayrshire Insights here on Now Ayrshire Radio. What a brilliant story of someone who really has done so much for Ayrshire as a whole. Massively appreciated for you coming on today.
No, thanks for having me.
Now Ayrshire Radio Podcast presents Ayrshire Insights with Elliot Boyce.
Now Ayrshire.